Well, hello. We are at the Columbia Street Food Truck Festival. Hello. There's people walking everywhere. You can expect people to be walking right up to us because there's about 100,000 or supposed to be 100,000 people out here. Today, joining me, you're our first guest, Mary.
Thank you.
Mary Trentadue.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. You came out. Thank you for coming out. You have actually a very interesting story because you're a councillor in New Westminster.
That's right.
But you also have a personal connection with the festival. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we moved here in, I think it was around 2013. And in the following year, my husband and I decided we would finally get married. And we got married the same day as the Food Truck Festival in New West, which we really wanted to go to. We were kind of torn, wedding, food truck festival. And so what we did is we had a food truck at our wedding, which was just in New West. And then we came down to the Food Truck Festival after all of our guests had gone and sort of had our honeymoon at the Food Truck Festival.
Was that the first year of the festival?
It was the first year, yeah.
Oh, so you kicked it off, right?
Yeah, it was awesome.
But you had a food truck at your...
We did the whole thing.
You must have booked them before they...
We did. We booked them before it was insanely busy for food trucks.
They were probably thinking,
were so lucky.
Yeah.
We were so lucky. We had pizza.
Oh, pizza.
Yeah.
We are having pizza here. We're going to test food.
That's so exciting.
And I asked you off air, I don't think you've tried it either.
I haven't tried this pizza,
And
no.
I haven't. So we're going to try, what we're going to do here is we're going to talk a little bit about the city, your role as a councillor.
Yeah.
But because we're at a food truck festival, we are going to also be trying some of the food. But they're actually the local restaurants that are along the strip. So it's going to be Whistler Food Fire Pizza. We're going to try that after we talk a little bit about...
Well, let's hurry up and get this over with.
Okay, summer in New West. I'm sure you have your hand on the pulse of everything that's going on. What are some of the highlight of the city?
I think sort of the running joke in New West for residents is there's never nothing to do in New West in the summer. I think last night in... they had the down at Westminster Pier Park.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, there was Fridays on Front. So you start at Fridays on Front. And then they had the outdoor movies at Westminster Pier Park, which I heard was packed of people. And then today is Food Truck Festival, but there's also probably 2 or 3 other events going on in the city today as well. Last weekend we had the Uptown Street Festival, we had the outdoor movie at Moody Park. The city is insane in the summer, and if you want something to do, there's probably something to do practically every day in the summer in New West.
Because that's not even counting all the restaurants. You walk by and there's comedy, there's live music. It's such a small little square that's one thing I love about New West is you can get anywhere to anywhere, which is very unique for the Lower Mainland.
You can get across town in like 10 minutes, mostly when there's not traffic. But
even in traffic though, it's not too
it's
compared
not too bad.
to other places.
It could be worse.
It could be worse. Yeah. The growth of the city. I mean, New West is this. It's sort of this old. It's the oldest city in BC. Is that right? But there's so much development. Can you talk a little bit about the growth that you've seen as a councillor?
Sure. So I'm serving my second term in New West. So there's in the last 5 years, there's been considerable growth. That growth started probably 2 or 3 years before I came to New West, before I got on City Council, and it's kind of exploded. I think what's happened is that many developers have kind of discovered New West and discovered that there's great opportunities here. There is still some land that can be developed, and actually people want to live here. It's slightly more affordable. I know that's a bit of a tricky word, but there is a way that people can get into the housing market, and New West is a really amazing city to live in. There's so much going on here. So it's sort of this hidden gem that's now been discovered. It's definitely,
and there's waterfront here too. That's the other beauty. You got this water all along. They got that boardwalk and everything.
We have everything.
Yeah, when I moved to New West 6 years ago. When I moved here, it was one of the other reasons I wanted to be here was because I love to go with the interior.
Right.
And it's just so quick that you can get in and out, and then you get to Vancouver. It is. It's just like this little gem right in the middle of all these quite expansive cities, and you got this little one right here.
It's the interesting thing on council is that we love many people who live in the city love that we're in this sort of the middle of the Lower Mainland. The challenge that we face is that a lot of traffic comes through New
Yeah.
West. So people who are going from Surrey to Vancouver, or Burnaby to Surrey, a lot of commuters are traveling through the city, and it makes it challenging for our local traffic. So it's a great thing, but it's also one of the challenges we deal with.
Yeah. What do you think the future is of the city? I mean, obviously the buildings are going to keep going up because you see some of these major projects that they're doing. Is that sort of what the future looks like here? Bigger buildings, more of them?
I think yes, in some aspect. The challenge is that we still have a housing crisis, and so a lot of these new buildings aren't really affecting that people at sort of the lower end of the housing market. But what it does do is it provides more stock so that there's more movement in the market, so that people who are in an older rental building may consider moving to a newer rental building, and it opens up a lot more opportunities. I think the city will continue to grow. I think cities grow. I think that's just what they do in more urban settings.
They
have to.
Yeah.
So it's the challenge is managing that growth and trying to make sure that we're sort of keeping pace with what's needed, but we're also looking after the people who live here so that it doesn't become so expensive that people have to move out.
Yeah.
They can't afford New West any longer.
And I've looked around. I mean, affordable is a funny word because it really depends on who you are. But you look at there are places still in New West that are affordable for a two household income. Like you can still get there's other places in the Lower Mainland. I mean, I don't even know how you buy them. They're just it's so beyond what a regular person would make, and you still can. Plus, you get all the amenities of a big city here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the amazing thing about New West is we still are on the slightly lower end of that affordability spectrum, but New West is also a city. I don't consider it a suburb. We have all of the amenities that a city has.
Everything.
Yeah, and having 5 SkyTrain stations in this small little city is huge. We're able to get people around and in and out of various areas for work. So that makes a really big difference to community.
Yeah, there's a unique thing that in New West, I mean, I'm sure it happens other places, but it's sort of unique where there's I forget what building it is, but there's a new building on top of an old one.
The trap block.
The trap block.
Yeah.
And that it sort of represents to me New Westminster because you do have this old feel, but then there's this new advance. Is there? I mean, I'm sure there is some conflict there because you couldn't avoid it.
Yeah.
And how do you sort of work through that?
You're absolutely right. There's definitely tension around the historic New West and preserving the heritage, but also making room for all of the new families that want to move here, as well as new businesses. So the city tries to manage that tension by encouraging replacement or renovation of some of our heritage properties, but also allowing for some of the new and exciting things to come to New West. One of the things that comes to mind is, I don't know if you knew of it, but we had the parkade just down at the bottom on Front Street.
Yeah.
And so there were 2 of them, and we took one down, and then we took back Front Street. And so we're sort of honoring Front Street and the heritage of that street, but also addressing it in a way that it's accessible and usable, and people can go and spend time there now. Yeah. So it's always a bit of a balance of that old versus new.
That must be sort of exciting to be a part of that, though.
It is exciting. It's exciting, and it's interesting, and it's challenging, and it's all those things.
And New West would not be New West without good food.
No, definitely not.
We have to bring that. And so it's Whistler Food Fire Pizza. They were good enough to bring pizza in for us. So we're going to try it. We're allowed to be messy. The interview's over now.
It's pizza.
It's pizza. So
there's no knives and forks, right? Wow! Oh my gosh! This looks like exactly like the pizza I had at my wedding. It's sort of that thin crust pizza.
Which is the
beautiful.
best?
Rosemary and sea salt.
Oh.
Rosemary and sea salt. We should have turned the mic in for you. So rosemary and sea salt. We'll just do a little cheers and just dig in.
Thank you. Thanks for the pizza. Delicious.
I was just in New York. Give it a run for its money.
Yeah, it's excellent. Excellent pizza. Thank you. We should do this more often.
That's what we should do. We're giving up the old show.
No more podcasts. Let's just eat
That's just
eat food.
I'm sure we don't want to sit here and eat the whole time on the show, so we'll wrap up the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was great.